USAA insurance for renters who make the most of their space and money. That's why we make it easy to cover the stuff you love for as little as 33 cents a day. USAA, what you're made of, we're made for. USAA.
Things. There's like lazy rivers, there's slides, but the water temperature was either like 95 degrees, it's hot there, they just heat it up like jacuzzi temperature, or it would be like in the 50s. And when you would go down a slide, you wouldn't know if you were going into a nice jacuzzi or you're gonna freeze and turn into an ice cube and fall into a thing. So it was interesting. I was again a teenager. Alright, so I also had a pack of peanut M&Ms. I was only planning on eating 3 or 4 of them, but man, that pack disappeared so fast. I mean, I told my mom, I'm like, you better take them before there's not a lot in the pack either. Alright, so let's pull our... So you guys have homework with all 3 classes.
Let's do this. It's coming to work.
I'm just going to read it. Come play games. We will be working on communication, socialization skills, along with gaming skills.
Bender, take one.
Tonight's matchup, me versus an ugly fender bender. If Ike and he got a win, it's going to be a miracle, baby.
Mr. Vitale, it wouldn't be a miracle because Geico gives you a team of experts to help manage your claim.
It's going to be a nail biter.
No, the Geico team is there for you 24/7.
Geico is awesome, baby. Too much?
I think we got it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Geico. Great service without all the drama.
We're live. We're live. Oh, Dante, you dance, right? I've seen you do some. I've seen you do some. Okay, because I do a little like we're live dance. Guys, I am super psyched to have Dante Basco in the house. Incredibly talented actor, producer, writer. A lot of you know him as Zuko in Avatar: Last of the Airbenders. Last Airbender.
Avatar: Last Airbender. ATLA.
Thank you. And obviously, one of my favorites, Rufio in Hook. I remember being very excited to meet you at a con in Houston because Robin Williams has been my favorite actor of all time. And that movie I watched one too many times as a kid. So, yeah, so it's a crazy thing to, as an actor who's pursuing, you know, their dreams to go, holy cow, I watched you as a kid and looked up to your career and everything you did. Dante, don't age!
Hey, you know, we're growing up. We try and grow up gracefully.
Sorry, Danny, what happened? Oh, cool. Oh my God, we just got rated. Fitzy rated us with 1,065 people.
What?
Thank you, dude.
Shout out to the raid. What's going on?
Holy cow. Yeah, so Fitzy is, so you know Dante, he's a huge sombra player and he's so good at it. He's tried to teach me how to play sombra, but to no avail. So thank you, man. I'm super psyched to have been rated by you.
Oh, wow. Shout out. You don't play your own character?
Play anything, man. Playing is hard.
You You're not playing. You don't play any games. This is Twitch. I play League of Legends a lot. I'm like a League of Legends player. So
Really? Have you been Twitch liming? Wow, live streaming gaming?
Yeah. I mean, on Fridays on my Twitch channel, Honor Society, which people can see me in the chat. We watch Avatar on Fridays. We got to the first show. We're going to do Korra next. But on Wednesdays, I have a little stream show called Road to Gold. Like it's kind of we play ranked. We're trying to get to gold. I'm bronze right now. I'm about to get into silver. But I play League of Legends like religiously. But then other guys on my stream team play all different kinds of games. Bridget plays spooky games on Saturday, and Justin plays all kinds of games on Sundays. So we just kind of play throughout the week.
Oh my gosh. Well, guys, so the dream of this chat is that I become a gamer, and I don't know if that'll ever happen, but now you guys can follow Dante and watch him play because
you can just kind of it takes a while to get some of these games have Overwatch too. You know, it's like a MOBA game, so it takes a little bit of it's a learning curve. But once you get into it, then it's like becomes addictive in a way.
Yeah. Well, you're also doing a fun thing on Mondays where you do like a cinema movie watching.
Yes, and on IG, me and my girlfriend, we do Monday Cinema Club, where we just kind of talk about movies that started in COVID. We're both filmmakers, and we've been watching so many movies, and we just we just kind of talk about these movies with everybody out there, and also give us a reason to watch more movies every week, and just been picking out cinema classics. We were like almost 40 episodes in, which is crazy, which we got to watch so many great movies.
Yeah.
And put fans onto like old classics that they may not have, watched in the past. It's always amazing.
Yeah, because, as people start being born into the world, then they're not watching what we consider the classics, or, there's just so much content.
Even stuff that isn't necessarily classic, but it's classic. Like last week, for February, we did a whole Black History Month thing, and we did like The Color Purple, and
oh wow,
Battles, and Ghost with Whoopi Goldberg. She won the Oscar for that. And then this last week we just did Men in Black. We did Will Smith, which is not classic, but there's a lot of cats out there watching that weren't even born when it came out.
Yeah.
97. I'm like, well, you weren't born when this came out. This is a new movie to me.
I know.
It's 20 plus years old.
Well, I just had to tell a fan earlier that they need to watch Hook because it's an amazing movie. And I said, I think it came out in 1993. And then they go, no, 1991. And then I go, right, but you were born in 95. And they're like, no, 1998. And that's where I go, well, damn. So,
Making all of us feel a little aged up in here.
I know, but you don't age. Can we talk about that? Like, holy cow, you still look like you're 19? When did you shoot?
I'm Filipino. Filipinos, we just age slowly. I always say when you're Asian, you just kind of play. I played teenager until I was like 30, and then you just kind of keep playing pretty young. But sooner or later, I'm gonna turn that corner and go from like the Karate Kid to Mr. Miyagi, like overnight. Like all of a sudden, damn, he's Mr. Miyagi now.
Hopefully, you'll go through a young dad phase before Mr. Miyagi.
Maybe.
But So, dude, you're doing a ton of stuff right now. I'm amazed that you're always producing something. You do voice work. You're still an actor on camera. Not still. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What is it? You started off as an actor when you were young, and then I
started as a dancer.
Tell me all.
Yeah. So my whole life in entertainment started out. I always say I started at the ground level of the entertainment industry, and the ground level for me was the actual ground. Like me and my brothers were street performers in the streets of San Francisco. We were b-boys in the heyday of hip hop, like the birth of hip hop, really when it got to the West Coast, and we were just in love with it. And I'm still in love with hip hop. Like in a lot of ways, I still consider myself a hip hop artist, and just didn't go the music route, went through the filmmaking route, but it's still definitely in line with the hip hop perspective, I think, on the world. But me and my brothers were b-boys. We were a group called the Street Freaks, and we became a very popular.
Your blood brothers, your literal brothers.
My literal brothers, and we were called the Street Freaks, and it was 4 brothers, and I was popping fresh. My name was Poppin' Fresh.
No, yeah. I love it.
But I did all kinds of stuff, and so we won a lot of breakdancing competitions. We ended up getting picked up by the San Francisco 49ers to dance for them, and the Oakland A's. And then we ended up getting scholarships to the San Francisco Ballet Company. And me and my brothers we had ongoing scholarships. And so we went from breakdancing in the streets to learning ballet at San Francisco Ballet.
Amazing.
It's very Billy Elliot. Like we watched Billy Elliot, and I was like, moved to tears. And
Dude,
then,
were your parents really artistic? Like all of you brothers and one sister are super creative. Like how do you did they come from that, or they just infused you with like art and culture since you were really young?
yeah, I think no, I come from a very blue collar family in the East Bay, a little town called Pittsburgh, California, like Pittsburgh with no H, and blue collar, man. I just a lot of Filipinos and Italians and African Americans, Latinos, like that's Pittsburgh. It was kind of like
the planet.
not founded, but it was kind of like a lot of World War II vets. My grandfather's World War II, and so a lot of vets live in the area, and that's our family. I grew up in the Phil-Am, which is the Filipino American Association, where we would do performances for the Christmas show, and it was kind of like my parents' social scene. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I can still see it.
Yeah, so we did a lot of shows and a lot of things like that, and that just kind of turned into us just like breakdancing. But my mom, to keep us out of the element that was around this, the neighborhood, whether it be gangs and drugs and all that kind of stuff, she always kept us just kind of busy doing stuff that she never had as a child.
Yeah.
So always in piano lessons and karate lessons and traditional dancing lessons and tap dancing and gymnastics, like all this kind of stuff that we ended up all incorporating into breakdancing. When we got into breakdancing, we just fell in love with it. And the success of that, we became one of the top, like we were kids, right? So we became one of the top breakdancing groups in the Bay Area in the 80s, right? And so we won, like in a year's time, we had won like, I don't know, over 30 plus competitions on the weekends. And then we started getting paid by like San Francisco 49ers and all these other things. And we, other people would hire us to open up for people.
Wow.
Diddy and Ice-T and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they were like, do you want to take the jump? Like they go to, be these like not big fish in the bay, but like a known figure like Bay Area heroes, and then take the jump and go to LA. And we were like, yeah, let's do it. So we moved.
All of you as a family.
The four brothers first, and the rest of the family kind of followed me, us and our mom. After we jumped in a van with like literally $100, and like
that's a movie right there.
My dad gave us like a year to make something happen. But when we jumped in the van and left and moved to LA, that was the beginning of like really like the professional life of it. And I was 10. That's when I was 10. So all that stuff happened before I was 10.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Wow.
And people were like, were you guys prodigies? I'm like, I don't know if we were prodigies. We were just
You're like the Jackson
boys.
5.
We had a band for years, and there was a line in one of the songs that go, something like the Jacksons, but with Filipino, like Michael and Marlon and Jermaine and Tito. Like that.
I love it. So were you the Basco 4?
I have a sister too. We were like,
Right. But she didn't move with you guys till later.
She didn't like Janet. She came like a few months later.
That's so badass, man. In a little bit we'll talk about your movie, The Fabulous Filipino Brothers, which I love the script, but I want to backtrack a little bit. So you were 10, and then from there to Rufio was your big break, but had you been auditioning a ton before that?
Yeah.
Or was it?
Yeah, Rufio I did when I was 15, but the reality, and Spielberg will always get credited by like finding me, and that's really big when you get to do a really big studio film, especially with greatness like Spielberg and Hoffman and Robin Williams and those guys. But the reality,
Julia Roberts, like holy shit,
Roberts,
yeah,
ingenue, a young Julia Roberts.
Mm-hmm.
But I came to LA at 10, and I had been working and studying all the way up to that time. By the time I was 15, I was like a serious young actor. But I mean, I was auditioning and working the whole time. The first audition I ever auditioned for, I booked. I was like one of those stories. Like I walked in.
Damn you!
Yeah. And I played Native American in a show. And then I just continued to work the whole time. I was recurring on Wonder Years. I had a movie deal with Paramount. I did a film called Perfect Weapon, which is like a martial arts film with this dude named Jeff Speakman. And so I was like a steadily working young actor. Child actor.
Yeah.
Child actor.
Yeah.
And then I was a kid actor, but then when you do Hook, when you work with Spielberg and you kind of have that platform, it really definitely changed my life. You kind of enter Hollywood in a different fashion, I'd say.
Well, also, the beauty of Rufio is he's kind of a dick at the beginning and you hate him. And then he comes around and you love him, right? So
Right.
you have a beautiful arc. You get to work with the most fabulous actor. You know, it is like a great way to come out into the world of like blockbuster movies. It's not just like a little movie. That was like a huge movie when it came out.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because I don't know I knew it was really, it's Spielberg, you know?
Yeah.
And even when it came out, I remember auditioning, when you heard of it, I remember calling my manager up because I was like, yo, it was just captured the imagination of everybody in town because, Spielberg's doing this Peter Pan movie growing up and Peter Pan's being played by Robin Williams. And that was like, what?
Yeah.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to audition for anything, any part, you know. My brother had some auditions. We're all auditioning against each other the whole time. And I ended up on, actually, when I auditioned for Rufio, me and one of my brothers, Darian, we both had the audition the same day, rehearsing with each other and dressing up, before we got the audition.
Yeah.
There's pictures of that day of us, what we were wearing, like going to the audition.
Wow. Yeah. And were you, when you got cast and you started, I don't know if you had a lot of rehearsals, or were you intimidated to work with Spielberg and Robin Williams, or were you just like, dude, I'm here. You're 15. You almost don't have that fear, right?
No, I was totally not intimidated, but intimidated. No, I knew. Like I've been studying since I was 10. I knew these guys. I studied these guys. Like when I went on the set, we grew up me and my brothers studied acting like religiously, in our life. Even as young kids, I studied for over 20 years, and so with the same teacher, and we were in it. Like I knew who Hoffman was really well. When I got the audition, and when I met Spielberg, Steven, we didn't even do the scene. We just talked about acting in film. I did this movie, Perfect Weapon. He's like, who's this? Who's that character? What did you do in that movie? And I looked at him as a 15-year-old kid, and I was like, I was a street urchin kid. I was living in the streets. I was like Ratso Rizzo. He's like, Ratso Rizzo? I'm like, yeah, Ratso Rizzo. And we were talking about Hoffman, that Ratso Rizzo is from Midnight Cowboy, and then we start talking about Midnight Cowboy, and he's like looking at me like, this kid's talking about Hoffman. I know who these guys are. Not only do I know them, I know them. I watch their movies. Like understanding the history of where we're from. We were chasing giants. We were chasing Hoffman and Pacino and De Niro and Brando. And I mean, on the set, I'm doing Rufio, and the big note from Steven Spielberg was always like, he's like, cut, like, Dante, stop imitating Brando. I mean, he's yelling at me in front of everybody. Stop imitating Brando. Back to the top. Let's do it again.
You remember what your Rufio/Brando was?
No, I mean, I was imitating Brando. I mean, I was a kid actor that was just living on Brando, and it was really Pacino, De Niro. I mean, but Pacino and De Niro were doing Brando. I mean, everyone, there's a lineage of what the actors are doing. Like, they're doing, Pacino and De Niro are doing Brando, and then, like, these new kids are doing, we're doing Pacino and De Niro. It's like...
I just heard, like, a poetry slam / rap, Pacino doing Brando, doing De Niro. Like, you got to work that into one of your...
we were chasing Brando, Pacino, and De Niro for Brothers Filipino. Yeah, we were doing some stuff like that. But
nice!
The script, he was like... Steven wrote on my script on the rap day, like, forget Brando. Basco is a classic, which is beautiful.
Holy cow.
Which is kind of crazy because, I mean, it's kind of pretentious. You're like a little kid. Like, I think he was annoyed a little bit because he was, like, wanting me to, like, not try to, like, copy your heroes. Yeah. But also I think he was kind of maybe a little bit entertained by, like, this teenager doing Brando. It's like, what? What is it?
Yeah, and part of the challenge too when you work with child actors is like you're molding them into that character more than an adult too. So like, of course he was gonna have to work with you or any other person who would have played Rufio if it hadn't been you. So I think that must have been such a delight.
Yeah.
Holy cow. Obviously everyone's favorite scene is when you throw the food and it's not food and then it turns into food, and you've used that as one of your branding things, right?
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah. It was a T-shirt thing. Well, with my merchandise and stuff, we did a Never Grow Up sweater, and then we were thinking like how to do it, and then we were graphic designing all the food fight, and it was like, oh, it's the food fight scene for sure. It was so great.
Yeah.
And then we did the front, like the slot. I mean, the graphic design did the slot on my face, so it really was cool for the.
Was that incredibly fun to shoot?
It was incredibly fun. I mean, for everyone except for me, if you watch the movie, I'm like, Rufio's not in a good mood that day. My memory of that scene is like, I was very, fighting with Robin and trying to losing my boys. And my memory and my feeling is always like how you felt on the set that day and the mood you're in. And if you remember, Rufio was not in the whole food fight like the other guys. Everyone was having a great time, and I was just sore on the corner. And that's still my feeling of that. Even though everyone loves it, I love it too. I love the imagination of it. But me personally, my memory of that shooting day was I was in that mode. I had to be in that I'm losing my squad.
Yeah. How did you feel when Diego Milano asked you to play a version of Rufio in Victor and Valentino?
It was hilarious. I mean, he's great. They sent me over the project, and I was like, oh, this is super Lost Boy stuff. I love that. I mean, a character like Rufio is it's just great that it kind of survives. The energy of Rufio survives, years, decades later, and means so much to the generation that grew up with it, and this new generation is finding it and connecting with it. I think as actors and as filmmakers, we all just want to be a part of projects and characters that kind of have some lasting, that means something to people.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know if you know, but I'm actually in that episode of Victor and Valentino.
Were you there? Were you there when we...
No, I didn't record with you, but I did record. Oh, actually, I think you were walking out and I was walking in.
We passed each other. That's right. We passed.
We did.
You
Yeah.
You were a character on the show. You recur on that show now? Or you're on that show?
I'm on the show, but I play a bunch of random characters. The one little girl that was supposed to recur from that episode hasn't, but I just play a bunch of random characters. But it was cool because I remember thinking, oh my God, this is like The Lost Boys. Cool. I didn't think you were going to play Javier, the leader, it just ended up being this rad thing. But that's a really special show that I think that, is giving voice to Latinos in the animation industry. And I wanted to ask you about that. Like, you've always been such a big fighter and not you vouch for us minorities, or what do we call them these days? BIPOC, the ones who haven't had a voice. Yeah. I mean,
underrepresented voices. I don't think I wasn't like that my whole life because I came as a kid actor. I came into a time where you're not really even have any awareness.
You're not aware of it.
In that way, you're kind of like, I was a B-boy, coming into the industry, auditions were just like a battle to me. We battle kids in the streets all the time. So just be ready. And when it's time to show out. And then, it kind of worked for me. And I was able to work a lot and kind of break down some barriers that I didn't even know existed. And then when you're a teenager and an adult, and you're faced with a lot of things that you didn't really see. And so, I helped become a voice in the community, because it's like, if it's not, it's really on us, it's on us to kind of like, and I'm one of the ones who've been very fortunate with the industry. So it's not like I'm complaining about the industry or like poo-pooing the industry. It's just, there are ways to kind of make changes from within, from the outside, and it's on us to kind of create more product and tell more stories from our point of view, because you have the, you just have the
platform.
The platform, but you have the cognition that everything we've done, like in my career and a lot of people's career, people of color, it's like 90, especially before now, over 90% of the things that we did, 99% of the people of color that you've seen in movie and films in the history of Hollywood have been written by a white male. A white man wrote that version. It's those people of color through the filter of a white male, which is not necessarily wrong. It's just,
the only perspective that's being.
It's only a perspective, and that's not how art. The art has just been so leveraged on that side. Where now in the new history of media, it's more about us sharing our points of view of ourselves. Yeah. And consequently, maybe showing some perspectives of, white guys that you may or may not be comfortable with. But it's not a diss. It's just, that's the conversation of art. It's just the conversation of art until now has been so one-sided. Yeah.
So Booty Farts 22 asked, when is the biography coming, the autobiography? But you did write a book.
Yeah, a memoir. A memoir. Oh my God, they're starting to drill some stuff outside. Can you hear it? Do you want me to put on some headphones? We're okay?
Oh, faintly. Yes, I hear it.
I just don't want to.
No, we hear your voice pretty well.
Oh, now.
Is someone vacuuming?
No, I think they're sawing something. Let me get headphones. This might. be very much more helpful. Hold on one second.
Yeah.
Damn, I'm leaving Twitch. Sorry, Twitch, y'all.
Oh, guys, this is too funny. Thank you for being here. So many people watching. This is really excited. Yes, it's Cel the Hawk and Javier the Bat. Hola, señor Busy Man, ¿cómo estás? Rufio. Yes, I know. Jen Cone is in. Jen Cone plays your mom, dude. That's super rad.
Yes, she does. Shout out to Jen Cone. I have not met her in person.
What?
No, she's in New York. I've like emailed back and forth with her, but
I guess I had thought because she's on Overwatch with us, and we travel so much, and I feel like we've overlapped with you. I just thought you guys knew each other.
I don't think I have. Maybe at a con, but I doubt it. We would have talked about it. I would have been like, hey, Mom.
Yeah. Hey, Mom. What's up? So, what does Zuko sound like? Because we have many people in the chat wanting a Zuko line.
A Zuko line? What do you guys want? That's rough, buddy. He sounds like that. He sounds like, I'm the son of... I don't know. It's like weird because it's usually my voice. It's just me. It's like me going, hello, Zuko here. It's just me.
Zuko's got swag though, just like Dante. He's just like, he's cool, you know?
It's cool. He's angsty sometimes, for sure.
Well, he's a teen, right? He's young?
He's a teenager. He's 15.
Yeah, so look at you still playing frickin' angsty teens.
I know, right?
How did that role come about? Because then it leads you to write your memoir. You kept auditioning for a bunch of voiceovers and that was just one of them that you booked, or how?
Yeah, I think with the voiceover world, I just kind of like tripped into it. Like I didn't come to town to be be a voiceover actor. It wasn't even really, I came to town in 85. And voiceover was just like a very narrow lane. You know how the industry, you come to town and I'm acting and dancing and doing all kinds of stuff. But little by little, you realize there's different, just different lanes where people, at the end of the day, catch checks. You know, you can catch a check being in commercials, doing industrials. Industrials are just like movies for like short films for corporations that no one's ever going to see it. Just in-house and you're acting like, don't flip this switch or do that.
Or this is how you connect this headphone to this thing. Yeah. And then you're explaining stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. There's stuff like that. There's things like people out there might have heard hand modeling. There's all these little corridors of the entertainment industry that people are making money at, but you don't necessarily know about it. For years, voice acting was one of those things in the agency that this agent handles something. All right, cool.
Right.
So, but it just kind of happened organically. Actually, I did my first voiceover gig was years ago in the Goofy movie. This thing called the Goofy movie.
Yes! I'm going to get Jason Marsden on here soon. Son of Goofy, right?
Yes, Max. He played Max.
Yeah.
And so I had 1 or 2 lines in the Goofy movie where I'm like, yo, say, talk to me, baby. And which is so funny because that's such a cult classic. People are like, oh my God, that was you. I was like, yeah. And then I was on a list for Disney for years and I auditioned for everything from Lion King to Mulan. So you just are in those things. You're in those rooms and they're thinking about you. But I never thought about voice acting again that much. I would audition every now and then. And then someone at Cartoon Network created a show and did a pilot called Kitty Bobo, which they wanted me for. And so I ended up doing that. And then that kind of led into, I don't know, voice acting. Kind of opened up. Then American Dragon Jake Long happened. And I had done a series for ABC Disney. A pilot called The Chang Family Saves the World, which was basically American Jake Long live action, but I didn't turn into a dragon. Me and my family had superpowers, and it was an Asian superhero pilot.
Hell yeah, dude!
Yeah, so it was me and Lauren Tom and Rona Figueroa and Byron Mann, and actually, Lauren Tom ends up playing my mom on American Dragon Jake Long too, which is odd. The pilot didn't go, and then they ended up giving me this cartoon series. Maybe the world wasn't ready for a live action show, but then we ended up doing the cartoon series, and then Zuko happened.
Yeah.
It's kind of
one thing leads to the next, and you don't really know. And you also, I don't know when Zuko started, if you knew it was going to be this big thing, or we never know, right?
No,
unless it's Spielberg. You're like, well, I guess it could always flop.
But the thing is, you just don't know whether something's big or not. You don't know. And then it's what really taught me is the Comic-Con scene, because I have a lot of friends that get into Comic-Con. And, I have these iconic characters, and I go to Comic-Con, and I have a great time there. But then you talk to new actors, and even like my agents and stuff, and they're like, well, he was in this, and so he should get this. I'm like, nah, you don't understand how the Comic-Con scene works. Like, you don't know what the fans care about. You could be whatever big person in this big movie, and no one cares about you. And you could be a smaller character in a weird thing, and like you're the doll of the whole con.
Yeah.
And like, well, what are you talking about? Like, he deserves this because he's in this Marvel film. I'm like, yeah, but this is the deal. No one, but we don't know.
Exactly.
I'll prove to you what I mean. They go, what do you mean? I go, do you know what one of the biggest pulls in all of Comic-Cons across the world? I mean, of course, you'd think like Star Wars and Star Trek, and like, you're right. I go, but do you know what's right there, maybe above them? And so she says, what? I go, Supernatural. She said, what? I said, Supernatural. She said, is that still even on? I'm like, Supernatural is bigger than all of those things at the con. If those guys from Supernatural at the con, they're bigger than everybody. And it just blows people's mind because they're like, I don't even know. I heard it's Supernatural.
Yeah.
But that's how the con world works. What the fandom loves is what they love. And we don't, it's like the world. You don't know. We don't know. We don't control what y'all love.
Yeah. Or just understanding how like any anime voice actor,
no, totally. Which you totally knows. Like, who's that? They're doing anime. We don't know it, and you're like, why are their lines so damn long?
I know. Fandoms, they're a thing. It's a marvelous thing.
It's a marvelous thing.
Yeah. So when did you decide to start writing a book about your life story, adventures?
Yeah, I have a book out there called From Rufio to Zuko, which you can, get on Amazon, of course. I just, it wasn't even my idea. There's a company called Not a Cult Media, which is a great indie press, and they're very cool, like Silver Lake crew. And I know them, and I'm in the literary world because I started DPL, the Poetry Lounge, which is the largest, largest open mic venue kind of in the country. I started this poetry venue originally called DPL, Dante's Poetry Lounge, and I'm a part of the whole LA poetry scene since the 90s, and that became the inspiration, which became Def Poetry Jam on HBO, and went to Broadway, won a Tony. So DPL is named after me, and I'm a part of the whole poetry scene. So Not a Cult, it's publishing a lot of books for poets in our community, and I'm part of the literary scene. So they approached me to do a book, and I was thinking I'd do another poetry book because I had another poetry book, written before. But they were like, no, we want your story. I'm like, my story? And they're like, yeah. And then the owner of the publishing press, he pretty much pitched me, my book. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, we want a story, a perspective in Hollywood from an Asian American's point of view. And
wow.
they're like, you're the kid that we all grew up with, so we want your story. And so I was like, all right, yeah, let's do it. And you sign deals and stuff, and you go, and then all of a sudden you're like, I don't want to write this book.
So what happened?
No, I took trips before COVID. I'd fly to like Portland or New York, and I would just get an Airbnb and try to write. And it's a cool, quick read, and I'm not retired yet, so it's not like a tell-all. There's more chapters to be told in the book, but it was at a good place where I was going through a breakup, and I was, and I'm at the place in my life in between castings as you're growing up in the industry and trying to find out what you're doing, and also not just acting, but, the world of producing and writing and directing is opening up to me. So and I'm still in a transitional place in my life. So it was a good place to kind of start to sit down and have some introspection. And what I loved about it, and what I wish I did earlier in my life, is even stuff that didn't make the book. I just started writing essays on my family members and how I thought about them. In my 40s, I'm like writing, and I was like, God, I wish I wrote an essay about my dad in my 20s, and then an essay about my dad in my 30s, and just because it changes throughout the years, but that's still your dad, that's still your mom, that's still your brother, and the things you like about them, the issues you may have with each other. Well, it's all that kind of stuff, and as the generations go, it kind of changes, and I found that very cathartic.
And so you traveled, you signed, you read excerpts. I remember you doing a reading at the Barnes and Noble in the Grove, maybe? Am I correct?
Yeah, the Grove. You were there. That was a wild night.
I was not able to make it, but I remember thinking, damn, I'm not in LA for that, but I knew that you were doing it, and I was excited for your book signing, you know?
I toured with the Grove. I mean, with Barnes and Noble.
Barnes and Noble.
Before COVID, I'm going to continue my book tour when this is all over, because I did New York and LA and Chicago and the Bay Area. What was crazy, and I think it's also, shout out to all the whole Comic-Con scene and whatnot. I mean, when I did the Grove, when we premiered the book, it was the largest signing the Grove's ever done. They're like, this is the biggest signing we've ever done. And I'm
wow.
Like, you guys basically threw a Comic-Con. It's basically what you did, because we were just happy. And it was great. It was kind of cool there to be celebrated and to do the book signing. It was really, really beautiful.
And it was in your home, like doing something in LA feels extra special.
Totally.
So now let's tell the chat about the fabulous Filipino brothers, because that script to me, it reminded me a lot of magical realism that came out of Colombia with Garcia Marquez. I don't know if you've read his books.
Of course.
But I found and when I went to the Philippines for a con, I was like, oh man, we're so similar. Filipinos and Latinos were cousins,
Yeah.
We're the same people. So I loved the story, and I want you to tell them a little more about it, because I'm super excited for it to come out.
Yeah, well, it's a movie I wrote with my brothers. It's called The Fabulous Filipino Brothers. It's my directorial debut, so it's my first time directing, and it's probably like 7th or 8th film I produced. So I've been producing like Asian American films for the last decade, on top of stuff I'm doing in front of camera. And you're right, the Filipinos are they're the only Asian Latinos. We are the Asian Latinos. Like, Spain's one colony in Asia was us, and so we're like, basically, we all know South America's all the Latinos, but we were that in Asia, the one colony of Spain in Asia. So there's a lot of similarities there. But it's basically a story surrounding a Filipino wedding. It's 4 brothers, my real brothers, Derek, Darian, Dante, and Dion. And we named it after my dad and his 4 brothers, which is Darius, Danton, Douglas, and David. But they all have nicknames, because Filipinos all have nicknames. So it's Deo, Duke, Danny Boy, and David's the youngest, so no nickname. American. So it's 4 brothers, 4 vignettes, like a linear story told out of order, all surrounding a crazy, blue collar Filipino wedding. It's not Crazy Rich Asians, like blue collar broke Asians.
But I like that. It's relatable. You guys aren't hopping on yachts and blinging stuff up. It's just like, oh, you guys are real people, and you're like, dealing with like. Can you tell anything about the little stories? Because
there's like little surprises in the movie, but every brother has like a little story that connects to the wedding somewhere, somehow, what's going on. But I think it's a fun, people that have seen it so far, as it's premiering at South by Southwest this March, which is
awesome.
Yeah, so awesome. It's one of the top festivals here in America, and it's in Austin. It's my favorite festival. I love Sundance, but Sundance is cold in the snow, and South by is like this really big multimedia fest that has a great film festival and a great music festival. And yes. And I love it down there.
Is it all going to be online this year?
It is all online. That's the bummer, because it's, like I said, I've been there like 3 times, and it's like literally I just love to roam around there for a week to see all the bands play and watch all the movies. And part of being in a film festival, it's great to get the laurels and the street cred for your film. Like, okay, you were in the big festivals. But it's also fun just like hanging out and just kind of like rubbing elbows with the other filmmakers and, vibing with the other artists. So I miss that, but we'll see how it goes this year.
And you're a master at throwing parties and at hosting. One of the big, really fun events I went to at San Diego Comic-Con was your Rufio party. What did you call it? It was really cool.
I don't remember, but that was a good one. That was a fun one, though. Yeah, back in, because, whatever. I have all these side businesses, side hustles that we don't have. And
What's the big hustles? It's not like you're selling popcorn on the street. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I think I love the Comic-Con world, and I feel like such a guest within that world, because I didn't necessarily grow up in like kind of the geek culture, but I've been so just welcomed. And as I kind of entered it now, I'm like, I feel like I feel more a part of what's going on, because I've been around for years. But especially when I went and I started like going to Comic-Cons, and I didn't grow up doing Comic-Cons, but I was like, what can I bring to the world, you know? And what I did, I grew up in the club scene in LA. Like, all my friends are club kids. I grew up going to clubs. All my friends now, as we're older, own and run the clubs, or used to before COVID. And so I would just, I said, let me throw the party. Let me throw some parties for the club, for the Comic-Con kids. Cause like a real LA party, like to bring the real DJs in. Let's do it like we did one night. We did Sold Out Night and like, Supper Club, which is one of the premium clubs here in LA. And people were like, even the club owners were like, what's going on? Like, we'll give you the club. And then when it popped off, they're like, damn, I didn't know this scene was even happening.
Yeah.
So I think that's what you do, what I do when I come to it. Bring what I do and see if I can mix it in what y'all do, and we can make, we can
Magic.
make a good potluck.
It's so fascinating. You're so eclectic and diverse in your tastes and what you do. You're not just this film actor. You do producing, you do poetry writing, you do dancing, it's and you could say it's all artsy, but it's all very, very different, and you have an act for bringing people together and having a really good time. So kudos, man. Those are some skills, and that's charm and personality and pizzazz. You're bringing that all to the table, and that's rad.
I mean, I think we all have our thing. We all hang out. I think as artists, we all have our, we're all peculiar people in our own way. And I think that,
when do you sleep, dude? Because you're like, I was part of the club scene. You're always on a plane. Like, besides COVID times, you're always on a plane. And I was going, how does this guy show up at a con with all this energy? He just flew in from Manila. Like,
I don't know. I think you just kind of, I don't know. I really just don't stop to think about it. But yeah, during those times I was really busy because you're chasing down budgets and you're having meetings internationally, and then you're coming back for the con scene. Look, I'm very fortunate to be able to have a kind of like a lifestyle and a career that kind of supports me doing things that you don't make a lot of money doing independent films. Like, you're just kind of like out there chasing money and trying to create like a piece of art, and hopefully you could sell it later on. So it's like a long process, so I get it. Like, a lot of young filmmakers can't make it happen because they don't have, and I'm fortunate that I can, some of the Comic-Con scene helps it out, that when you're acting on screen, those help it out. And then you take time off to go chase the things you want to be a part of, that you want to create. It's great to be a part of other things, but it's also great to take a little time out of the year to kind of chase the things that you want to put out there. Yeah. For me.
And that's, I think the Fabulous Filipino Brothers, do you call it something else?
FFB sometimes. FFB.
Yeah.
I can't wait for people to see it. I'm a little nervous because I'm like, it's my first time directing, and
it's very personal.
It's personal. I've written other films, but and I've acted in tons of stuff, obviously. But when it's like, I've had reviews as an actor, which is fine. I've had reviews, whatever. But like when they're talking about like, now it's like I wrote it, directed it. It's like, it's on you.
Yeah. You're in control.
I think if it's a success, it's a success for everybody, and which I love my brothers, my production staff, the whole cast and crew, and everyone who helped bring it to life. You helped in a read through. Everyone is very helpful. But then, sometimes if it fails, they're like, Dante. I'm like, damn.
I know.
You run the risk.
Yeah, I just produced my first film that I act in, and I don't direct.
What was it?
It's called Morgan's Mask. It's about a gamer cosplayer dealing with the quarantine by herself and how she goes down her dark rabbit hole and then has to get herself out of it. I didn't write it, but it's a really beautiful piece. There's a lot of cosplay involved. My character games a little bit, but it's a personal journey, and I connected to it in so many ways, even though I didn't write it. But dude, I'm scared shitless that like if it's not good, then you go, oh my god. It kind of falls on you more than other projects that you can just. It
definitely does, but what can we do?
I know
we do what we do. We can't.
But then that's why we do them, right? Like the more connected they are to us, maybe the more there is to lose or to win or to gain. I don't know.
I think, at the end of the day, I think we can't be that. I don't know. We can't be that concerned where we get scared to do something.
Totally. No, and that's what I think is going to succeed, right? When you just go, I'm not scared. I got to do this. I have to do this. and that's the energy I think that pushes it to succeed, because it is so personal and so maybe vulnerable or unique. Like your story, that script is so unique. I laughed and I cried, and I can't wait for the super awkward moments and the super funny ones. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Sweet.
Like I had not read a script like that, so that's why I think it'll stand out, because it is so particular, and you are highlighting this Filipino family with all its Filipino quirks.
I think, it's really fascinating, because I even going through like the whole Asian American scene and trying to create stuff, and you want to create broad audiences for things, but sometimes you just got to go very, get very detailed with what you're doing, and then maybe that'll also be universal later on. I mean, you go back and forth.
Yes.
Write stuff like, we got to write something that's going to appeal to everybody, and then, sometimes you go, well, let me just write this thing I know. And then if people dig it, cool. If they don't dig it or don't get it, then cool too. But I'm just going to do,
and then maybe it becomes a cult classic, because after a while it's like, whoa, did you realize how deep this was?
I don't know if it's deep. It's fun, I think.
I think all of the brothers are on their personal journey to finding something that they need. So,
the amazing thing is they're all my brothers are amazing actors, and so they get to all be the leads of their own vignette, which is great. And so I think we got to give them some stuff, as an actor in the industry. So many actors get to, they can do so much stuff. We all can do so many great things as actors, and we've seen each other do it in theater and in acting classes and whatnot. And the reality is, the industry doesn't always give you opportunities to do what you actually can do. Yeah. And so being able to kind of give a little platform to my brothers to do some things that they have not really got to do on film yet, which I know, which I've seen them do time and time again in theater and in classes, it was special to me.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. So, guys, I was part of a reading early on of the script, or in the middle of I don't know what point in the process it was, but I remember meeting your brothers, and they're all badass and have swagger, and they're like cool. And then I read opposite one of them, and that character has some really vulnerable, moving moments. And I was like, fuck, man, this is beautiful, Yeah. They do get to go deep, and they do get to connect with something that's maybe a little bit mushier or a little bit more.
I know. We overwrote some stuff. It's poetic. I'm a poet, so some stuff we're just writing poetry. We're like,
no, but it's all real. That's what I mean, though. Like, I just expected the Basco brothers to be like, yo, we're cool like you, we're down, we're doing our thing, we're badass, but not, fuck, man. Like, when I have to talk about love, this is how I get, or this is how I've been hurt, or, and that stuff is also important.
Yeah. Well, I love that part of the movie for sure. I can't wait. I can't wait for you to see it. I can't wait for you to see it.
I know. So we have to buy a day pass for South by, or can we just watch that one movie?
No, you can't. I don't know. You can't watch single movies. That's the only bummer about South by, I guess, because it's a competition. They got to watch all the movies or whatever. Okay. So, but we'll be promoting it on my stuff. You can follow my IG or follow Fab Filipino Brothers IG.
Is there a trailer out already?
No, we haven't released the trailer. We played the trailer a few times, but we haven't released it because agents and everyone's like.
No, because if there is one out there, I want to watch it.
Yeah, no, I'll send you it. I can send you.
Oh, okay, cool, awesome. Guys, sorry, don't mean to rub it in your face. No, but we will be excited to see that. So, tell us what you're working on now, where people can find you. Like, what are you excited for? Obviously, besides this South by thing, which is huge.
Yeah, no, this is definitely taking up a lot of my time lately. But we're always working on new things. I have a slate of like 10 projects that we're developing, and some things are closer than others, and so I'm supposed to go back to Asia to kind of get the next thing started. And then there's a play I wrote that I really want to bring back called Midnight Makeout Session, and maybe that's going to turn into another film, because if I do another film, I just want something in my voice, and so there's that. But then I don't know, it's been crazy, like right before I sat down with Joe, I was taping auditions with my brother Dion. And we're just we're auditioning for the same part still. 30 years later.
It's so crazy.
You do your version, I'll do my version, and we're going to do our thing.
Yeah. Are you roughly the same age?
Yeah, we're roughly the same age. We're like 18 months apart. All my brothers are really close like that. And then it's really interesting, too, because now I'm a director, and so a lot of calls are coming in for me to come and direct other things. I kind of got, it's weird. It's just how the industry works. A lot of some people are like, oh, well, would you consider directing this or that? And I've had a few meetings. We'll see if those things pan out, or if it's something I want to do, or if I want to stick to my own lane and what I want to do. It's a new world, but it's COVID. I don't know what we're doing. And writing. We're writing. There's a few scripts we're writing. Me and my girl are writing a script together right now, and there's just so many things going on. There's like a video. I mean, I just did a song with this. I have this song we're gonna drop soon with these artists, Tigra and Spencer, and I wrote the hook, and the song's called Firebender. You wrote the hook, no pun intended. Yeah, and it's called Firebender, and the song is fire. Like, it's a pretty sick song, and the record company really excited about it. They're gonna drop it as a single, so I'm involved in kind of helping the marketing of how to get that song out, and I want to get to some key people early so I can, when it comes out, it's like. But it's dope. I can't wait for people to hear the song. It's a song called Firebender. If there was, it's not even club time, but it's a banger for the club. It's called Firebender. You're like a Leonardo da Vinci of these times. You do a million things. No, man, you do a bunch of stuff. It's not just right here. It's like, but it's all great, Have you been recording a lot of VO stuff during the pandemic? A few things. I've done a few gigs and, of course, a bunch of auditions. And I broke my mic now, so I don't know what happened there. But I got a backup mic. You're like, just figuring it out as it goes. Figuring it out as it goes. I was going to ask you, what's your sister's name? They're all D's. Is she also... Ariana. So she got the different vowels. Yeah, my dad, it's like one thing. My dad, his whole family starts with D's. So everything. And then my mom was an A, so the one girl got the A. That's cute. And she's an actress as well? She's an actress. She's actually in the movie also, but she also is a poet and a musician and a teacher. She runs a art school called Palms Up Academy, and so she's investing time and energy into the next generation. And we may be doing something with the whole family. We're trying to create what she is creating, and I'm helping her create a thing called Basco House, which is really catering to kind of like a acting art school for the next generation, especially for people of color, kids of color. Part of the book is talking about that. It's like it's for everybody, but especially people of color coming into the industry. There's potholes. There's mistakes I made. There's things I had to look at myself, and you got to question, like anything in life. But the way that fame and Hollywood works is just it magnifies everything. There's an excerpt in my book where I was going through. Thinking if I can get a nose job, it was like, yo, the agents and managers like, you should probably get a nose job. So you could look more white. Yeah, there's only one reason to get. There's only one reason to get a nose. Outside of like getting a facelift and trying to look younger, a lot of times, most times, people of color, ethnic people, if they get the surgeries, it's to look more white. And it's hard to kind of think about that as a 15-year-old kid. A 15-year-old kid, and you're like thinking, what? And then I had a cognition when I was like about to have the appointment. I was like, yo, this is the deal. Like, I'm never going to pass for white. Like, no matter what I do. It's not like I'm going to change my nose and all of a sudden they're just going to think maybe he's white. It can work sometimes for certain Latinos or certain, African Americans that be passing, and it can open up a whole casting for you. But I'm like, it's not going to work for me. I can't do it. And that was like, so there's things like that in the book that I talk about specifically for people to like look at and, it just makes you question yourself and where you are. And there's no right or wrong answers. It's just kind of the journey. Absolutely. Guys, you guys, please go on to Amazon.com and buy From Rufio to Suko. Yeah. That's so beautiful, because I think that so many people do look up to actors of color like you who have succeeded and go, this is what I'm aspiring to be, but I keep being told to be this way. And, you're paving the way for being okay with who you are, Yeah. And loving that. It's both ways. Anyway, there's no right or wrong answers. Like, everyone's got to do their trip. You know what I'm saying? I know, but I think it is helpful. Imagine if you had gotten that nose job, then what are we saying to younger kids? Like,
You know, we got a little more white so we can succeed.
I know, and I think times change. I mean, that was the '80s, so trends change and things change, and so you kind of roll with the trends sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, recently we have heard of stories of casting directors telling white girls, buy some hoops, go tanning, and change your name to Gomez because now ethnic is in, and this poor Jewish white actress chick is going, oh my God, I have to act ethnic now, but I don't really have any ethnic in me. So it's just like, now it's all the opposite.
It flips. It's very hard when I talk to young actors that are really on the path if I go to colleges or acting schools. And the reality is it's one of the hardest industries in the world because walking into town, at best, you're 1,000,000 to 1 shot.
Yeah.
You're 1,000,000 to work, to do anything, let alone become a star, 10 million to 1 shot, right?
Yeah.
And that's the reality because there's millions of people here trying to do their thing and 99% of them are going to fail. And you're probably going to fail. But that being said, like, your only real shot, outside of hard work is you. Like, becoming a good actor is on you. That's your job. But your real shot is like you. Out of those million people, there's only you. There's only one of you.
Your uniqueness. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you could tap into you and have the courage to show you, if you can't even show yourself, you ain't got a shot.
Yeah.
If you can show yourself in this town, now you got a shot because now we can actually see you and where you fit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, what a great note to end on. Can you bear with me? I need a minute to shout out some subscribers before we sign off. Yes. Guys, last time, right at the end of my stream, Cuso subscribed for 4 months and I didn't shout him out. So thank you, dude. You rock. Fitzy here rated us with 800 people and then hosted us with 1,200 people. That's so rad. Love you, Fitzy. Booty Farts 22 gifted 1 month tier sub to Rinku Shell. Booty, why are you so generous? Thank you. Lightning Shay subscribed for 5 months. Woo! The Positive Vibe Fairy cheered 15 bits. Dude, what a great name. I love it. Discord Andrea subscribed for 2 months. Thank you. Hype Train happened. Rumple Dumple subscribed with Prime. I love all these screen names. 10 bits were cheered by TrueMyth117. Nina Iwu subscribed for 5 months. Wow, thank you. And I'm so glad you got what I sent you in the mail. Resmart, sweetheart. Thank you for giving out 5 tier 1 community gift subs. You're amazing. Kali Q cheered 1,000 bits. Another hype train. Dude, this was a busy stream. Hikari Kanzaki subscribed for 4 months. Wow, man. Thank you. This is amazing. Booty Farts gifted 3 months tier sub to Jasmine Live. You're so sweet. I'm Jasmine Live. Firestar1236 gets a boop. Boop. And they also cheered 36 bits. Thank you so much. Guys, you are rad. Before I go, I'm signing that way Funko Pops and Sombra posters this weekend. So if you're interested in that, go to my Instagram so you can see how to get one on streamily.com. We're going to have a really fun panel this weekend with Overwatchers. And dude, one day we should have, I feel like you're our adopted Overwatcher because you've been to so many events where we're there. We just need you to be a voice on the game now.
I know, I should do a voice thing. Tell the whole Overwatch fam I said hi. Miss everybody so much.
I will, absolutely. Sorry, last one, Sombra voice line for Not Trick C137. That's rough, buddy. All right, guys, thank you so much, Dante Basco. Thank you so much. Give him a follow on all the social medias. Dante Basco?
Yeah, Dante Basco on everything. Except for TikTok, at Dante on TikTok.
Do you dance a lot on TikTok?
No, I do I do duets. I think I play harmonica sometimes.
Oh, cool. Dude, I remember you did a video once of a little dance. You have a hat on and you're kind of doing like a moonwalk and then there's a light post. I watched that a ton because it was so beautiful. Please do more things like that. They're really inspiring. All right, guys, keep booming and booping. Boop.